Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Average Nerds Inspect Mass Entertainment. I'm your host, Grenchler, and with me, as always, is
Whooper,
the incomparable. Today, we did episodes 7 and 8 of Evangelion.
No, it was 9 and 10 of Eva.
Oh, 9 and 10. Well, I watched the right ones, because I hadn't seen them before, so they were the right ones.
Okay, good.
5 and 6 of Dandy.
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3 of Girls' Last Tour.
Yes.
One of all the others chose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, our huge fan base is keeping up weekly with what we're watching, so we don't need to go over it. They know the drill.
They subscribed, they hit the little bell thing, and they're just sitting, waiting for the notification.
Right. They're commenting. On
Notification squad.
Sure.
That's a thing for... Anyways.
Well, you mentioned Girls' Last Tour. That's a show we haven't talked about yet.
Right, because we picked that up after we dropped Inuyashiki.
Yes. It's yep. You opted to make the title of the last episode the one where Inuyashiki dies.
Yeah.
I guess that's a reference to the fact that we stopped watching it, so it died in that respect. Although
right.
I've kept watching. I've seen the next 2 episodes of it, 7 and 8. It's not good. So we got rid of that just in time, and we're watching Girls' Last Tour now. Do you want to start with that one?
Sure. Let's start with Moe Blob.
Yeah.
End of the World.
Yeah. I liked it. I really liked it.
It entertained me a lot more than I thought it was going to.
So why didn't you think it was going to be entertaining?
I'm one of those people that wants my anime characters to look like humans most of the time. You know, we have proportional heads, although I realize anime heads are larger than they're supposed to be. But I don't know. I thought it was going to be something different than what it was.
Okay. Well, I knew what it was going to be, so I knew what I was in for. And I liked it. I guess you liked it too.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
I did. I enjoyed it.
Just because a show has Moe Blob main characters doesn't mean it's going to be like super cute.
I guess. I don't think I would have liked it as much if we hadn't watched 1, 2, and 3.
So episode 3 really kind of solidified your opinion of it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well then let's talk about that one first. We don't have to go in order.
Yeah. So in episode 3, they meet the first person.
Right.
They meet
the first human.
Don't remember
his name. Is like Kanazawa, I think,
or something like that. Yeah. Map Man.
Yes. The
I'm the map. Okay.
The cartographer. That's how I referred to him in my notes.
Yeah. So we saw that there are other people alive. It's not just going to be them wandering around the whole time, you know. And now they have like a goal as to what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting that their goal kind of indicates a level of continuity to the show, right? Because in episode 2, they find that fish.
Right.
And they eat it, and they're like, I've never tasted anything like this before. I wonder, like, it came down through the pipes.
So it had to come from above.
Right. All the snow melted and the water came down, and the fish came down with it. So they're thinking, maybe if we go up to the next level, because the world is segmented, like, into tiers.
Right.
Maybe if we go up to the next level, we'll find more fish.
Yeah.
So there is an element of continuity to it, and their motive is very clear. It's, you know, keep moving, keep finding food, fuel, stay alive, and try to enjoy life as best you can. You know, make something out of...
And they think there'll be more things alive the further up they go.
Right. Yeah, they think there might be, like, more human life, maybe more organisms as well, I guess. So what about the episode was so, like, attractive to you, or why did you like it more than the other 2, or whatever?
It gave the world substance. It explained, why does the world look like this? Why is it so crazily tiered? Why is it levels? And it's not because it was built that way. It's because it was inhabited after it was built that way, apparently a long time ago. Because they mention at some point that, like, ancient humans had built these tiers, and that later on that's just how everyone had lived in them.
Okay.
Because you know, we go under the assumption just from the start of it that this takes place around World War II, based on they're driving a half track from World War II.
Well, that doesn't necessarily, that could be like an anachronism, you know, that could just be a design that they threw in there because the guy who created the series thought it looked cool.
As well as they're wearing hats from World War One, though, to be more specific.
Yeah, well, I imagine that the people who are in charge of, you know, set design or whatever are just pulling props, ideas, like visuals from, you know, different books.
It's a weird amalgamation of World War One and Two, because the rifle she uses, if you look at the way the sight is built, they stopped doing sights like that on rifles after World War One. Okay. That was really common then, but they stopped doing it. I also think it's really interesting that she uses the scope as a viewfinder, and it's never on the gun.
What?
She uses when she's looking around, like in episode 2, they're shooting cans. She's saying hit or miss.
Right.
The person you see through a scope, so you assume that's the person using the gun, right? It's not.
What?
Never mind. This doesn't matter. This has no storyline significance.
Yeah, but I don't even understand what you're saying. Like,
so there are scopes on guns.
Yeah, I know what a scope is.
Okay, it's not on the gun. She's holding it in her hand. They use it. They use it as like a telescope.
Okay.
Yeah, I just thought that was odd.
So they carry the scope with them and use it.
Yeah, she like carries it in one of her like massive pockets.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't process that detail, I guess, or I didn't retain it.
These are the dumb things that I pick up.
Well, I'm glad that the show has some, you know, that particular aspect to it, the military aspect that will be able to hook you, you know, because people are drawn to different shows for all kinds of different reasons.
Right.
And this is, I mean, despite the show being about kind of like a slice of lifey, philosophical, questioning the nature of existence and the futility of war and stuff, and there are cute characters in it, despite the fact that it has all that going on, there's also like a military aspect to it, like a weapons aspect to it.
I also like the way that the world's built, and I want to know more about like why was it built that way, what's on the different levels, you know, is it like a caste system like it used to be in there were different levels in ancient Egypt. Like the lowest level of the city, which is where the sewers were all the
like plebs.
Essentially the plebs were all. Yeah. And then there were like tiered housing, like in Ba Sing Se, in Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Okay, sure.
Well, there was like there was also physically higher up in the city.
No, I don't think it was physically higher up. I think in Avatar, which is what you're referencing when you say Ba Sing Se, it wasn't about elevation. It was about closeness to the center.
They were also taller, though.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because they each had like different layers of walls.
Right.
And
I thought it was just the closeness.
It's height as well if you see it from other angles.
Okay.
But usually, you know,
it's the same kind of idea.
Rich people high up, poor people towards the bottom. So I'm wondering, are the different layers going to have like their own stylistic design or something?
Yeah, they could look different. Yeah, and it's possible that, like you said earlier, it's possible that people are still alive up near the top, because if your theory holds true and that's where people with the most wealth were concentrated, then they probably also had the most access to like resources to help survive this apocalypse that the world has apparently, you know, undergone. Yeah.
Yeah. But so I enjoyed the show.
Dude, in episode 3, one thing that I was disappointed by was the fact that they didn't show them fixing the elevator. Because, you know, they get stuck in the elevator and it tilts and the maps fall out and all that. Mm-hmm. The show really impressed me throughout these 3 episodes, so I can forgive little omissions like that. And anime is famous for that. You know, it has to cut costs, cut corners.
Cut time.
Right. That too, yeah. So it's okay. You know, it's fine that they didn't show the elevator getting fixed. But I was anticipating that, like watching somebody crawl up onto the top of it and like, you know, that being a really tense moment.
Right.
But then they get to the top and Kanazawa, or whatever his name is, he goes his own way. And they go theirs. So that was episode 3, and I did really... I thought it was cool. One thing that I really liked about the way that they met, the 2 girls and the cartographer, was when they you know, he blows up the building to make a bridge between the two sides. So he almost kills them, and then that's the blonde girl, like has her rifle trained on him, and she doesn't. He's like, "Can you please put that gun down?" And she doesn't do it. Like she keeps her gun trained on him. And I was having a conversation with one of the guys who I write with on the blog, and I said maybe the reason that that Yu does that she's so reluctant to take her gun off this new potential threat, is that in the past they've been attacked by another human.
Don't know. They have journals, which, you know, they write everything that happens to them.
Yes, well, not they write. Chi writes.
Right.
Because she's
Chi and Yu.
Yeah, Chi and Yu.
They spent a lot of time on those names.
Well, it's Chito and Yuri.
Right.
Those are their full names. I was impressed by episode 2, which is the journal episode. I think that was probably my favorite. I liked the you know, they go into that what was it, like a nuclear facility or something?
It was a power plant.
Yes, a power plant. And they have to shoot the pipe in order to create a bath, and then they're holed up in there for a while because of the snowstorm, and then they go down to the, what would you call it, the reservoir or whatever that collects the water.
Yeah, well, that's essentially just a dumping ground. And
yeah,
you can see they're on
so.
a level higher than the bottom.
Yeah.
Because they look out over that massive cliff that just leads to God knows where.
Right. I liked episode 2 the most, I think, because of the varied locales. You know, they were at the power plant. They were holed up, taking cover from the snowstorm. Then they leave when the snow's real deep, so they have to, you know, like get the tank or whatever it is they're driving through the snow, and then they make it to the water plant or whatever. And then it's sunny out, it's nice out, and they get to like dip their feet, and it's just a pleasant mix of environments for me. Any thoughts on the other episodes?
No, not really.
No.
Just like little tiny things I noticed that aren't even worth mentioning.
Episode 2. Oh, episode 2 was the first one with the theme song. Dude, I love the theme song. It's so cool.
It's like, what's that kind of music called? Like Future House or something. I don't know. There's too many.
Is it like glitch?
No.
Glitch?
No, it's
Something?
like future based. That's what it's called. I think that's what it's supposed to be.
Okay. I just like how like energetic it is, and it's cool. Like it's thank you very much. It kind of illustrates the fact that they're trying to live life to the fullest and enjoy their, I mean, rather bleak existence in this like snowy wasteland with guns and ammo everywhere. They're still like two girls just trying to make the best of the situation that they're in, and trying to get along with one another and other people that they meet.
Yeah, I remember they left from their grandfather's house.
Yeah, that was interesting. And in episode 1, I think Chito has the dream,
Right.
where you see someone like waving goodbye to them as they leave on the back of a truck or the tank that they're on, maybe, or something like that.
That actually kind of brought me to my idea for why it's called Girls' Last Tour, because it was their like last tour in the military or something. Because we don't know how old they are.
Right, yeah, they could be.
They're amorphous blobs, so they could be adults.
I think they're probably girls. It's called Girls' Last Tour.
Right. Technically, a woman is still a girl.
Yeah, that's true. They could. I doubt that they're like 10. You know, especially since one of them is very proficient with a rifle.
So obviously we're in some sort of military or something like that. So
not necessarily.
Tour is like a tour of duty. So
Right.
that was my thought.
Right. No, I agree that word has military significance, like the use of the term tour in the title. But the fact that one of them is good with a gun doesn't necessarily mean they were enlisted or whatever. Like there's guns all over the place in the new world that they're in. So they could have just learned.
We need to find a gun for you. How about this one? Minigun. Put that down.
And they find those explosives in the plane in episode 1.
Right. They still have them. Or they didn't take them because they took the food instead.
Right.
Because they can only hold so much.
I thought they took the explosives as well.
We didn't see them take it. We saw them put a whole crate of food in.
I assume that they took some explosives because one of them said these are going to be really useful in
for like blowing hope in a wall, and then the first time they would possibly need to use them, somebody else levels a building for them.
Right.
And then it takes them like 6 minutes to get over.
There's plenty of other stuff that could be said, especially about the more philosophical aspects of the show.
Right.
Like, you saying if our ancestors had just been more concerned with food production and storage and less concerned with war, we wouldn't be in this mess right now. And that's just that's the theme of the show is there's guns everywhere. Humanity destroyed themselves. Oh, like that's bad.
Yep.
I don't really feel as though that's an especially commendable aspect of the show. I guess I like that it's there because it gives the show some poignancy, and it's something that it can dig into maybe a little more deeply once the world is more fleshed out and we learn exactly how it got into this state. For right now, it's just kind of a background thing for me. It's not like the existentialism that's really doing it for me right now. It's the dynamic between the two characters, like how Chi is the brains and Yu is the brawn, and they disagree sometimes. They fight and they get into arguments, like when Yu burns the book.
Right.
But they're still doing the best they can to cooperate and to be friends. And I think the show's really imaginative.
Yeah.
You have any closing thoughts about Girls' Last Tour?
Mo blobs, mo problems.
That's a really good... That should be the title of the episode. I had a really good one. My title was going to be Dabs Post-Apocalyptically. In brackets, like screams internally.
Right.
But mo blobs, mo problems. That's actually real. I like that. Okay, we'll make that the title.
Cool.
What's next? That's a currently airing one, so let's do an older one.
All right. We have 2 to pick from.
No, we have 3.
We have 3?
Hellsing, Dandy, Ava.
Which one do you want to do?
I don't know. You pick. I just picked Girls' Last Tour.
Dandy.
Okay. So we did episodes...
That's the dandy way.
We did episodes 5 and 6. And I think I texted you saying that I was saving Dandy and Ava for last because I knew what I was getting into with them, and that I really liked Dandy episode 5 in particular,
right.
Which is the one where he,
It was the Genosian.
Is that what the alien's called?
Well, Genosian is actually from Star Wars, but it's something similar to that, so that's what my brain remembers it as.
I didn't. Let's just gloss over the fact that we forgot what kind of.
It starts with a G.
Yeah, it starts with a G or a J sound for sure. And its ability is that it can switch consciousness between a living thing and a doll.
For 666 seconds.
Once a day.
Yes.
So I thought I knew exactly what I was getting when I watched it, but I'm trying it dubbed this time. So I did watch both of these episodes dubbed. And it wasn't as powerful for me this time.
Was the voice acting just not as good?
Yeah, the girl is obviously voiced by an adult. The alien.
Yeah.
And the voice actress, the woman who's she's giving it her best shot to sound like a girl. And she does an okay job. But it doesn't I'm not sold on the performance. So I went and listened to it in Japanese, and perhaps because Japanese women have a voice with in general their voices are in a higher register. Maybe that's what, or maybe it's just because I don't understand. I don't hear Japanese people speaking every day, so I don't have a. Maybe if I were Japanese, I would think to myself, "Oh, this Japanese woman who's doing the voice sounds like an adult," But that's not the perspective that I have. So when I listened to the Japanese version just a little bit for comparison, I was struck by how much more appropriate the Japanese voice was. So I didn't like it as much on this viewing. How about you?
I still liked it.
I liked the episode.
Yeah, I liked the episode. I didn't have a problem with voice acting. I know that voice acting in general in America is worse for stuff like this than it is in Japan, just because it's not as prevalent.
It's not as big an industry.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
That's not to say there aren't good voice actors in America. There an insane amount of good voice actors. They're just not doing that kind of work.
Yeah, they're not doing anime.
Every once in a blue moon, you'll get one of them in doing voices for an anime or something, but it's few and far between.
Right. Okay. Well, what did you like? About
soon we'll have Will Smith's son.
What do you mean?
That Netflix show.
Oh, I thought you meant when you said soon. I thought you meant he was doing something else.
No,
because that's already out.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, it's out.
Yeah, we should totally watch that.
I'm not watching it.
Okay. But as for the episode, I liked it. It's it shows. The question that I thought of is, why does Danny do this?
Why does he do what?
Why does he help the girl? Rather than he's like, I'm going to boobies, of course. But he doesn't. He goes out and looks for her grandfather.
Right.
All night. And then comes back and is like, all right, let's go.
Well, what do you think is the answer to that question? Why does he do it?
Either maybe he's less selfless or less selfish than we've seen in past episodes.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's a reason for him to want to take care of this little girl. Like maybe he had a little sister, or maybe he was abandoned as a child, or something like that. That would make him sympathize with what she's going through at the time.
I feel, that's a good question. Like the one when you wondered about his backstory, like is he relating to her because of some experience that he's been through? I hadn't considered that, and I don't remember how much of his backstory we get over the course of 2 seasons. So I can't. Maybe like the fact that you said that, maybe that'll trigger a thought for me when I see like a future episode, and we get some bit of information about him. But I think he just grows fond of the kid.
He's got a heart of gold.
Yeah, exactly. He's the main character, so he kind of has to have that heart of gold, right?
Sure.
Like, he can't just be a heartless jerk and really only think about going to Hooters Space Edition. That can't be his entire shtick. There's got to be... Because that really limits the amount of stories you can tell. And boobies is mentioned in every episode. It's always a catalyst for him to go somewhere, do something.
He just wants to get paid so he can go to boobies. Because he wants to visit every boobies in the galaxy.
Right. So he needs money, which is why he has to hunt aliens.
And her reward was 8 million.
Oh, was it for the Gentusian? Whatever?
Gentusian. That's what it was.
Gentusian? Okay.
Genosian is a Star Wars thing.
Okay. Yeah, I like...
I loved all the scenes where he's the penguin, like her little doll. Like, penguins are flightless birds, don't you know that? And he like flies into the car.
Right. How did he get the ability, like the energy to do that little spiral move where he shot into the car? Is that just like
it's an anime?
The power of belief in yourself or whatever?
I don't know. Maybe he has like his same physical strength in that sized doll.
No, I don't think that's the case, right? It's just your consciousness that switches.
Then how does it move? It's not alive.
That's a good, well played. That's a good point. Yeah.
I don't know. We'll just go with it's anime. Don't question it.
Yeah.
We're gonna kind of have to go with that.
Man, how convenient for anime writers and creators.
Why does this happen? Because it's anime. Yeah. I forgot.
So I do like episode 5. I think that's my preferred episode of the 2 that we watched. Although the voice acting thing really kind of stuck in my craw a little bit.
Okay.
Is that something that people still say?
I don't know.
It means it like got on my nerves a little bit.
Yeah, that I understood.
Right. What else we got?
We got episode 6,
right.
which is...
I took very little notes for episode 5.
The vest versus the underwear.
Right. The Vestians versus the...
Undians.
Undians or Undarians? Undians?
I think it's Vestian and Undian. I think they're literally just... Because they... I don't know. Did you watch that one in English as well?
Yeah, I did. And I actually liked it more watching it in English than I did watching it... I remember episode 6 being one of my least favorites. Maybe my least favorite episode. When I watched it the first time. But I liked it a little more with the dub. Because they really played up the bad grammar and like the syntactic inability of both aliens.
Right.
Whereas in the subs,
you have to read the improper syntax, and when you read improper syntax, your brain fixes it.
Okay.
Just like when you can read a word, if the first and last letter are correct and all the middle is scrambled, you know what word it is.
Right. It undyslexifies it for you.
So when you read, like a lot of times if you read a sentence, there can be errors in it and you'll never see them. Like 2 U's at the start of it because your brain cancels the second one. It knows that's not supposed to be there.
Right.
So hearing it is completely different because we know when someone's talking dumb.
Right. And in addition, in the subs, all they do to indicate that the grammar is bad, because in Japanese, they're obviously speaking in poor Japanese, which is how the subbers knew, we gotta
Or
mess
English.
with it a little bit.
Yeah.
So all they do is they make the blue guy a hick, like, you darn tootin', that kind of thing. And they make the red guy, the Undian, whatever, they just kind of, I don't even remember what they do, but it's not significant. Like they turn it up to 11 in the dub. And I actually think that helped me find them less annoying and find their conflict less stupid and inconsequential. Because I cared a little more about the aliens. It was still dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, it was still retarded.
They blew up the planet.
They did blow up the planet. But I was surprised that they didn't die. Dude, I completely forgot about the surfing.
Right.
I completely forgot that was going to happen. So I was like really taken aback and excited.
Yeah, I thought that scene was super cool.
It is. It definitely is. It kind of justifies the entire episode. And they even set it up, at the start when Meow comes into his room and he's like,
do you even know how to ride this thing?
yeah, and do you remember what he calls him?
He calls it a shoebie.
Yes. Rocket power. I love that show.
Yeah.
Should try to find it. It's probably on the same site that I showed you where Megas XLR was.
Yeah,
For those of
probably.
you who remember, in the last episode, Grenchler expressed disbelief that I could help him find Megas XLR.
And he delivered in
found
10
it
seconds.
In 10 seconds. You just Google it and it's right there. It's on the usual site. You know which one it is if you're listening to this.
If you know, you know. If you don't know, you can find out by Googling.
Yeah.
Anyways.
What were we talking? Oh, Shubi.
Shubi.
Right.
Yeah,
So
and
they
the
set up
surfing.
the fact that the surfing. Although, like, when you get to the end of the episode and you're really wowed by that amazing surfing sequence where he's like the whole episode, it could have been structured completely differently. They could have told a completely different story and still ended with him surfing in the air. Like
How does he breathe?
yeah, that's a good question. when they first crash on the planet and they get out, I was like, where are their spacesuits? But it's
And when he's surfing.
right, because then he's higher up.
Right.
Yeah, he's probably broken through the stratosphere of that planet or whatever.
There's no stratosphere left. The planet blew up.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, dude. I don't know how he can breathe. It doesn't
because it's an anime.
right, because it's anime. It doesn't even matter. I mean, it looks so cool, and it probably would have it would have been even more of a hassle for them to animate that scene. I'm sure it already took like 500,000 years for them to get every frame of him surfing on a board on
geysers of dust and clouds and stuff. Yeah.
Crazy amount of effort went into that scene, and it was all worth it. I mean, I loved it. But they didn't have to tell that story in order to get to the end point. Like at the start, Meow's like, or QT, I think is the one who says, maybe he's a Shubi. And then at the end, he kind of
I'm a kahuna.
Right. At the end, he kind of has this moment of triumph where he's surfing on the clouds or whatever. But you don't have to tell that story about a war between an underpants alien and a vest alien. And that doesn't need to be the story in order to get to that end point. They could have told a completely different thing.
Yeah, they could have.
But I was more okay with it this time. I thought the dub, even as obnoxious as those aliens are and as their speech is, I think I liked it a little more.
Okay. That's interesting.
And the song that plays while he's surfing,
Yeah.
it's like that groovy 70s track. Oh,
Yeah.
man. It's so appropriate. It's so awesome.
It is.
I don't really have much else to say about either of these episodes.
Not really. There's...
What?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I completely lost my train of thought.
Well, then let's just move on to the next one because we're trying to keep the time down.
Keep it shouty.
Sure. Mage's Bride or Whales? I'll pick this time. Let's talk about Children of the Whales.
Let's talk about Children of the Chromatic Aberration.
Sure. You're still on that?
I
think they did more in this episode.
I'm noticing it now because I've mentioned it,
right?
And so I'm looking for it.
Well, let's not talk about it or look for it too much. Let's talk about the episode, which I thought was trash.
Really?
Yes. What I mean, we're gonna rank the shows at the end of the episode like we have been doing.
So is this 7th?
And in the in the course of like us putting down our rankings before the episode started so we could reveal them later, you said, I liked pretty much everything I saw this week. And I was like, oh boy, I'm going to rip Whales to shreds in this segment. So first, why don't you go ahead and tell me what was so great about it?
I didn't say it was great.
Well, you said you enjoyed it.
I said I enjoyed it, yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, let's recap what happened in the episode.
Okay, so first off, it starts...
They see the Skylos.
A wild ship appeared.
Right, and they get on it.
Okay, and then they got on it, and then we have Child of Noose,
Emma,
standing on the fossil of a fish, singing a song.
It wasn't a fossil; it was alive.
I don't think it was alive.
It blinked.
Then maybe it was an alive fossil, because remember they mentioned at some point that there's only sandstorms in this region because there's a bunch of prehistoric stuff under the sand or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. So I figured.
So she sings that song and she does a little dance, and it looks like she's earthbending or whatever. Like,
and you think something's gonna happen, and then nothing happens.
Yeah, nothing happens. It was of no consequence.
My guess is something happens in the next episode.
My guess is that there was the people on the production committee for this show wanted that song to be in the episode to promote it. You remember in Shirobako when like the guys on the production committee are like, "Oh, we want our voice actors to sing this song,"
because they'll pay us to promote it.
Yeah, I guess, or I don't know. There's some fiscal benefit.
Yeah,
it's an advertisement.
Hey, you get a kickback.
That's what I think happened in this episode.
It's possible. We can't say without.
Well, we can't close the book on the song doing something until we watch the last episode.
Right. If nothing happens because of the song, then there was no reason for it to happen.
Right. 0 out of 10 anime confirmed.
At
all. But it didn't do anything in this episode. But it was, I mean, the song was fine. And it wasn't so obtrusive and like so disruptive to the flow of the episode that I was ripping my hair out or anything. It's fine. Whatever.
You're just ripping your hair out during the rest of it.
Yeah.
Damn, son.
Yeah. The fan subs. I think that the reason the fan subs were less like they were a little more informal this time was because the people subbing it saw how kind of like loose the episode was and how like silly it was, and they were just like, well, we're just gonna goof off too.
Or maybe it's just the kids by themselves. There's no like adult supervision, so they're more like themselves.
No, okay, hold on. What she says is "sugei na," which means like that's amazing or that's great. That's literally what it means.
And the vernacular, or not the...
They translate it as "damn son."
Right. Damn son.
It should have been like "wow" or...
Sugoi.
Yeah, well, sugei is...
Translator's note, and then fill the page with text.
Sugei and sugoi, they mean the same thing.
Is it male and female?
Yes, actually. Okay. Sugei is typically more masculine, actually. And
like, wow. It's feat of strength.
Well, no, it doesn't refer to masculine action. It's men who are prone to say sugei.
Oh.
Though it's a woman who says it in the show, and I think the idea is to indicate that she's like a bit of a tomboy, or it's the spear woman whose name I forget.
Bowstaff.
Right, okay. But she's very fit, and she's part of like the defense force or whatever. So she's the best girl of the show.
Best grill.
Yeah. Normally, I'm loath to apply that term to anyone because it's kind of reductive and
weeby.
Yeah, weeby, and it indicates that like you're more concerned with how all the characters look than what they're doing and how they're contributing to the story.
But no one's doing anything of significance anyway, so why not?
But this show is just a complete mess. So she's the best girl. Okay. The dude, I'm gonna skip. What are you doing?
The guy who's...
Are you talking about the pink-haired guy who freaks out and he's like, I love killing, I love bloodshed, come out friends and die?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's weird. Anime has characters like that, you know, who are just totally outside the realm of acceptable social behavior, and they always lose because in Japan it's all about like conformity and stuff.
I really wanted that episode to have the fight between him and
the other guy who we don't know anything about. Right.
That would have been super cool.
Well, it'll be in the next one, right?
If we even watch the next one.
We're gonna watch it. We're not dropping an episode after this. No, I'll watch. I mean, I've given up on the show completely. I feel like with only 5 episodes left or whatever, there's no chance for redemption. But I'll still watch it. You know, I want to complete a certain number of series for the blog just to say, hey guys, I finished like 30 series.
Right.
So my opinion matters or whatever. So I'm gonna finish this, and I'm not gonna enjoy it, but that's fine. Yeah, we'll get that fight. But the death of the elder, that was such a clumsy way to try to redeem his character.
No, don't harm the kids. I'm gonna walk towards you. Sword down face.
Yeah, they cut his like entire face and chest open, and he was still able to walk off. But like, regardless of the implausibility of him being able to do that, the fact that he gets that little death scene where he was like, oh, it was wrong of me to try to sink the mud whale. Of course it was wrong. It made no sense in the first place. Nothing makes sense. The whole conflict between the elders and the younger people who like want to go on living. Why would the old people want to like commit Sudoku and just sink their ship? It doesn't make any sense.
Samurai Sudoku.
It does. The show's so ridiculous. Oh my gosh.
But you gotta have those super high points of tension where everyone could die.
Yeah. Including everyone walking to the end of a hall and walking to where there's a whole bunch of blankets covering what's supposed to be
No, don't touch that.
Dude, what? How could... It just is so underwhelming and lame that they're like, oh, we're going to get to the end of this hallway. The news is going to be there. Here's some blankets. Let's pull them down. And there's just people with guns behind them.
The second they said you can't use your thymia down there, I said, yep, they're dead.
Yeah.
It was obvious. They have guns. When you can't use thymia, gun beats sword.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a Calibri or something.
I don't know what that is.
It's the world's smallest gun. It's like this big.
Okay.
It's smaller than your fist.
All right. Well, they're using like rifles, right?
Yeah, they're using muskets. Yeah, those are quite large.
Right. I wrote in my notes the battle on the mud whale. Like when they invade, the clown people invade the second time. I wrote that the battle had no scope and no intensity. Like,
it was just. You see things flying around. You see arrows flying during the counterattack.
Right.
And
there are a lot of close-ups on
people getting shot out with arrows.
Individual people. Like, you don't have a sense of, who's winning, who's losing. You get the shots of the kids being like, yeah, I shot one. Hooray!
And then the reaction of the adult like, no, little Johnny, no.
Yeah, the one guy kind of grimaces like, what are our children being made to do? And that I don't care about. Like, it's obviously, it's terrible that they're put in the situation where they have to rely on the kids with the abilities. But I don't care about them. And that brings me to my next point, since I'm raging already. All the people who died, like, all the people who went on the infiltration mission or whatever.
Right.
They're all, like, joking and laughing, and they're, like, they're such great friends, and they're all part of a big family or whatever. And we don't know 80% of these people.
We know 0% of those people.
Well, we know Chakuro, and we know Oni, and we know...
No, the people who died.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
All the people who stayed behind are the main characters.
Right.
Everyone else is filler.
All the people who died were just red shirts. But they were making some grand point about how, like, Lycos was like, oh, their thymia is stronger, and the implication being because they're friends or whatever, because they have emotions. I don't care about the friendship or the emotion of these dead red shirts who you just introduced like an episode ago. It doesn't. None of the characters matter. they're all just taking up space. I don't know. I just hate everything.
Apparently.
All right, I'm gonna be silent for the rest of this segment. Why don't you talk about things that you liked about it, or how you feel about the show in general, or whatever?
I thought it was interesting just how Chakra at one point mentioned like the walls are made from mud. You know, on a mud whale.
Okay.
But apparently their mud whale doesn't have walls made of mud.
I don't even remember what you're talking.
He mentions like he feels the walls. And he's like these walls are different than ours. They're made of mud.
Okay.
They live on a mud whale, and the walls aren't made of mud.
I guess I don't know.
What are they made of? Sand?
I guess.
Why don't they fall down?
I don't know. It's anime sand.
All other
Don't
ground
question
is
it.
sinking sand.
You got anything else?
There's really. Oh, you saw the like little child thing in the tubes. That's just like forward, full speed.
So that's their news.
Is it?
Yeah.
Or is it like an interpretive being that commands the news?
You mean the same way that like Emma, pink-haired girl?
Yeah. Okay.
Is...
I get, yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Like, what's the difference? It's their power source. There's cables hooked up to it.
Right.
The little kid, the glowing blue kid.
They've also invented steel.
Yeah.
And the ability to manufacture it larger than small objects, which I think leads to believe either a homeland or a much larger mud whale.
What do you think are the odds that we're going to explore any more of this universe with only 5 episodes left? Like, how deep can they go?
The last 2 episodes.
Last 2 episodes we're gonna be past this conflict, and we're gonna see what's out there.
There's going to be a conflict with another ship, is my guess, and then in comes third party that hates them, that hates the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Okay.
That's my guess. Is like maybe even the last episode. That's the only time we're going to see the outside world.
Okay. I mean, maybe they have like a sequel plotted out or whatever. I don't know if they're gonna get it. I don't know how successful this show is in Japan.
I don't know either. They don't exactly have Nielsen ratings.
Well, they measure it by like DVD and Blu-ray sales.
Really?
That's like the biggest metric of an anime success. That's kind of changing right now, but that is the thing that people usually point to and say, my series is successful. You know, this series over here isn't.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So
because for us, it's all about ratings. There's nothing. The sales and everything else are an added bonus over here.
Right. Anything else to say about this show?
Chromatic aberration. Boo.
Is it an aberration?
Aberration. Well, I call it...
Aberration sounds like aborigine. Like a didgeridoo.
Well, it's aboriginal, which is unoriginal. Because an aberration of the image is an unoriginal piece of the image.
Okay. All right.
You can pronounce it like 3 ways. It's dumb. Anyways, moving on to something more exciting.
You can pick.
Hellsing.
Okay, Hellsing.
I really like this episode.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's so dense. There's so much going on.
Every single image has so many things going on. What was the deal with the intro?
The intro where
the little cartoon intro
where he's talking to like the spirit of his gun.
Yeah, dude, that reminded me of Bleach.
Really?
Yeah, remember we used to watch
because he had like the spirit of his sword.
Yeah,
yeah.
But it was so cartoony and like it looked like a cartoon from MTV in the late '90s.
Yeah,
and it was really goofy and it had a bunch of pop culture references, most of which I didn't understand. The only one I got was like he talked about Christopher Walken, who plays like a genetically engineered Nazi super soldier in a Bond movie.
Huh.
And the show's about Nazis, so that's obviously the connection. But right. I didn't understand much of the rest of it.
I didn't either. I
mean, this show is very obviously like pop culture obsessed. It's not just from this episode either. But I didn't really get it. It's kind of lost on me.
He's going crazy.
Oh, maybe it's supposed to represent that Alucard is going nuts,
or that he is crazy.
Yeah, well, he definitely is.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know why it's there. It may have been they finished the episode, decided they wanted it a little bit longer, and added that at the front.
No, I think that stuff's in the manga.
Really?
Yeah, the Hellsing guy, the mangaka, whatever the author is. That's like his thing, his style.
I don't know. I really can't explain that.
What'd you like about it? What'd you like about the episode? Now that we're past the bizarre intro.
The previous episode was a lot of talking. This one was a lot of explosions. There was fire, and
there's plenty of talking in this one.
There was a better balance, though, I feel, of like stuff happening and stuff not happening. And I know you hate when people say that, like nothing happened and all that stuff.
Yeah, just judging an episode by how much quote unquote happened in it is really
how dense it was.
With stuff going on in every image. There was plenty of talking in this episode. Penwood, the head of whatever agency they've got going on in that little bunker thing.
Right.
He talked for like minutes and minutes about how, I'm just some guy, I never wanted to be in this position.
I was given this job, nepotism.
But I may be like really afraid, but I'm not a coward.
And then everyone laughs at him because like you can't do anything here.
No, they don't laugh at him. They're like their spirits are buoyed by his speech.
They do laugh though.
Yeah, they do laugh like in camaraderie with him. Like, oh, we're all gonna stay too. We're all such great friends.
Did you think we're gonna leave? You can't run any of this stuff.
No, it wasn't mocking. Everyone was like,
I think it might have been.
Okay, I will just have to. I don't. There's nothing that I can point to that says you're like definitively wrong. So I guess we just have to agree to disagree on that. Because he gets that big glorious death scene at the end. Like this episode was playing up his character. So I don't think that the people would have laughed at him during that scene.
I don't think they. I don't mean like they're laughing at him like, haha, you loser. I think they're like laughing, in like at the situation that he's in, and he's words are hard.
Words are hard. Good thing we're hosting a podcast.
Yeah, it's great that I'm such well spoken.
Such well spoken.
So well spoken.
Much words.
Now, wow. I did you watch the credits, by the way?
Yes. So you learn a little bit more about Penwood.
Yeah, you see him like grow up.
Kind of, yeah. There were 3 men in the credits.
Right.
And one of them, I think, was Arthur Hellsing.
Really?
Yeah.
Integra's dad?
Dad, granddad. Yep, I think dad. And it's definitely Arthur Hellsing because, well, first of all, he talked a lot about, like, when she leaves or whatever, he's like, Arthur, she's just like you, or something like that. Penwood thinks that to himself.
Right.
But at the end, you see Penwood and the third guy whose identity I'm not really clear on. You see them kind of watching from afar as Hellsing talks to Alucard, a younger Alucard. He appeared to be younger to me, which doesn't totally make sense, but he was definitely talking to Alucard. So it was Hellsing. It was Arthur Hellsing.
Arthur Hellsing.
Integra Wienbrook of... I forget her really long, complicated name. It's funny, every time someone says it, I always
Integra Wilford Fairbrooks. Hellsing.
That's in there. So vampires invade England. That's the big development. I guess, in this
Nazi vampires.
Yes.
And they bomb a swastika into the ground.
Yep. Or I'm not sure they bomb. Remember, because the Major's talking about lighting everything on fire.
And they also use V1 rockets as well, so they can direct those.
Okay. And are those? Did they have like napalm in them or something? Would they create fire like that?
Bombs make fire a lot of the time.
That's true. Well, they cause stuff to explode, and gas lines are probably blown up. That's probably the main cause of fire breaking out.
Yeah. That and things are made of wood, and bombs are fire, and wood catches fire.
That's true.
Either way, it looked cool.
Yeah, it was. So in the last episode, I think, of this podcast, not of Hellsing, you kind of you mentioned that you thought that it looked kind of like sloppy or whatever.
Yeah.
But this episode was
amazing.
Yeah, it was very actiony and very cool looking.
I remember thinking to myself, oh, they spent all their money for episode 4 on episode 5.
I mean, yeah, for sure. When an anime is being planned out, they have to allocate budget differently, and talent and time and all that.
Right.
The resources have to go towards different episodes in different proportions based on what's going on.
Because you had like her car dodging all of those explosions and stuff, and that looked really good. And then you had all these. You
had all the gruesome deaths of all the civilians and stuff, and the cops, and then you had the scene at the end
with the priests.
What do they call it? Iscariot,
the 13th division of the Vatican.
The Catholic Church's anti
zombie league.
Right. Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah, that was really cool. Alexander like freaking out and going off on all the zombies, vampires, whatever. And then the two other people who he brought with him. I don't think I wrote down their names.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't.
Two other higher up members.
Right, and then all the other priests, like the squadron of battle priests. It was entertaining for sure.
Yeah.
And this episode was a little shorter, which probably contributed to the...
It was 45 minutes instead of an hour.
Right. And the end credits were...
Something was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff was happening.
Yeah,
it was nice that they... that there was a little story being told during the end credits. What else?
And then after the credits, you also see
Alucard on the aircraft carrier,
just stuck on the aircraft carrier.
My question is, how does he make it move? Because he's like, we're going to London or whatever, and then the ship starts sailing, like starts moving
through sheer force of will.
Yeah, I guess so. That's a hidden ability that vampires have had for generations.
They can control aircraft carriers once everyone on board is dead.
Right. Once you've soaked it in their blood in the correct amount.
It becomes aircraft carrier san.
Right, and you could possess it and control
sails to sea.
Yeah. We didn't mention Walter.
Oh yeah, Walter. He gets all those people storm in the facility earlier in the episode. And he just goes, just like flicks his wrists, and everyone turns into like 8 pieces.
What exactly is? They're wires of some kind.
It's like that one ninja from Naruto. Do you remember that from like?
I don't remember Naruto that well.
From the original show, there's one of them who uses like razor thin wire that you can't see as his weapon.
Okay, I don't remember that. Is it like one of the main characters?
No, it's like one of like battle tournament characters or something like that,
Dude, I don't know how that guy lost. That's I don't know why I don't remember him. I don't know how he didn't become like the Hokage of his nation or whatever, because those things are like, you're invincible when you have that stuff. People can't see them. You just slice people. You slice zombies and vampires. At least
I'm pretty sure it was in Naruto, because I remember in another anime there was a character who used that exact same kind of weapon.
Well, it seems to me that that's kind of a Japanese idea, that kind of weapon being
because
used
it's completely improbable.
That's not how I know it's Japanese. Just that I've seen it not just in Naruto and not just in this, but other stuff too. Okay. I think there was an anime that I didn't finish called Basilisk, which is a glorified ninja fighting show, another one. And I think there's a character in there maybe who uses the same weapon. But the thing that I wanted to talk about regarding Walter is not his complete dominance of the guys in that little bunker where Penwood is or whatever. It's the fact that he's facing off against one of the main Millennium dudes.
Right. They know each other.
Yeah. There's a cliffhanger. Because he's like, he tells Integra or whatever.
Go. Yeah, just leave.
Get in the car and leave. So his fate is like unknown. I assume that he's gonna win, but maybe he won't.
Know.
Maybe he won't. Despite the fact that there was so much like plot development, and we're getting to the climax here of the invasion or whatever. I don't know how much there is to say about it.
No,
we've already talked about it plenty, obviously, but
I mean, a lot of it really is just like scenes of soldiers flying down and bombs going off and people getting killed and stuff like that. There's a lot of
action.
There's a lot of action that doesn't have plot significance. That doesn't have forward
thematic
plot
significance that you can really discuss.
Right. Other than Nazis are bad, Nazi vampires are worse.
Right. Nazi vampires are the worst. Thankfully, we have Iscariot here to protect us. Their little speech about how, and it is interesting. I hadn't considered until they all the priests and stuff in unison were like, "We are Iscariot. We have our 30 pieces of silver, and our whatever." Because why would they be named Iscariot? Right? Judas Iscariot is the guy who betrayed Jesus. And this is the Catholic Church we're talking about.
Right.
And they kind of like give a justification for why they're called Iscariot, because their mission is to like go down to the depths of hell to fight the creatures there, while at the same time being disciples of God.
Yeah.
But it's still a little weird to me that they're taking their name from Judas, who was responsible for Jesus' crucifixion. So that just struck me as odd. But it was cool. I mean, it was cool as hell, that final scene.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any closing thoughts?
I like the episode. Want to keep watching.
It was better than the last one, probably. I don't know. Yeah, it's cool. What's next? Mage's Bride, I guess.
Yeah.
Mahoutsukai no Yome. I'm disappointed.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just got so hyped for episode 3, dude. The dragon one. I keep talking about it like an idiot. I just keep saying, the dragon episode, the dragon episode.
Episode 3 was so good.
It was good. It was the best one by far. And I appreciate everything this series is trying to do. I appreciate how gorgeous it looks and how, the episodes are moving naturally from one to another. Like they're trying to toe the line between a big arc-based storytelling.
But you ate your cake before you had dinner. And so now you're disappointed by dinner.
Yeah, I guess. I see what you're saying there. Like
Yeah.
the good stuff came first or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not even convinced that that's true. Maybe it'll get real good around the midpoint or something.
I don't know.
But I'm just not every episode isn't doing its own thing, and every episode's not part of a bigger arc. They've got these little mini arcs, like stories that take 2 or 3 episodes to tell, like the cat one, for example.
Right, it was 2 episodes.
Okay.
And this one's obviously going to be 2 episodes.
Yeah. Or 3 or something.
Sort of.
It was. I mean, the show's good, I guess, but it's not wowing me.
I mean, I want to keep. I want to know what happens.
So do I. But not desperately. Like, if I wasn't able to watch any more of the show starting like right now, if the show, if all copies of it vanished from the internet and it stopped airing on Japanese television, I wouldn't be like broken up about it.
Okay.
It's just how I'm feeling.
Yeah. So we've got the last task for the church.
What do you mean the last one?
He said this is the last thing I have to do.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that actually has me kind of excited. Like, if this is the last one of these little mini stories that they're going to tell before presumably, hopefully, moving on to something bigger and like grander.
Well, that's what the end of the episode was.
Well, what do you mean?
Something bigger and grander.
Oh, sure. But what I mean is, like, if this is the last errand he has to run for the church, then maybe we'll move on to something that isn't resolved in like a couple episodes or whatever. So what was the errand that he had to go on for the church?
There was a dog. There was a black dog.
Yeah, a grim. I think they referred to it.
Yeah, like
at one point
a church grim.
Right.
I think is specifically what they called.
They do.
A big black dog that shows up around a church. Sometimes they're helpful. Sometimes they're evil. So they had to go find out which it was. And then there was a dead person. And they said, "Hey, go look around. I'm gonna look around too, but don't get hurt."
Yeah, she goes to the graveyard near the church and she encounters that spooky monster
that looked exactly like that thing from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I thought the exact same thing.
The face stealer.
Yes, exactly.
Well, they're both based on centipedes.
I was also reminded of No Face a little bit.
Yeah.
From Spirited Away, like one of the later forms that he takes after he's been offered enough gold and he grows those legs.
Right.
I was creeped out by that monster, dude. And then
I thought it was cool she could see like all the stuff like growing on the graves. And I thought that wasn't something bad. I thought that was merely like, the lingering spirits of the dead.
So did I. Is that not what it was?
I don't think so. She said something bad is here. And that's
I think she was referring to the presence that she felt of that terrible monster. I don't think she was talking about the little squirming.
I thought
black
those
things.
were a product of it. I didn't know.
You could be right. Maybe. I mean, either way.
And
the monster was frightening.
Then the dog shows up and just dead.
Right, he crushes its mask or whatever.
Which kills it. Appeared to, at least.
Yeah. And then he faints or whatever, and...
Yeah. Like, hey, wait. You're wounded. This is bad.
Who says that to who?
I'm paraphrasing.
Chisei says it to the dog.
Yeah.
I mean, the big... We can probably just skip to the big conflict
reveal
at the end of the episode.
Which is also mentioned earlier, because you see the sorcerer and the sorcerer's apprentice. This time the sorcerer isn't Nicolas Cage.
What?
There's a Disney movie called The Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Sorcerer's Apprentice just reminds me of Hearthstone.
Yeah, well,
The mage, 2-drop.
The Sorcerer's Apprentice, Nicolas Cage is the sorcerer.
Okay.
So, this time it's not Nick Cage.
So when you say it's not Nicolas Cage, you're talking about...
The dude who's missing his arm. He's the sorcerer.
Right. I call him Scarface, although his name has been revealed. I forget what it is. But he has that big scar across his face.
Yeah. Or no arm.
Yeah, it's the blonde-haired woman who's his apprentice.
Yeah.
Who shows up, and she gets tied up, blah, blah, blah. But the big reveal is that it's now a showdown between Elias, whose real name is what, again?
I'm a post in the ground.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll get to that in a second.
I
have my notes here. Just 1 second.
I can't pronounce it. Help!
It's Pulim Muralis.
Pulim Muralis.
Sure. That's his name. That's the name that the white-haired sorcerer who's been pulling the strings or whatever refers to him as. And I think Scarface probably called him that too.
Yeah,
in the cat
he did.
arc or whatever.
He did.
So we were speculating last episode after the visit from Titania and Oberon about like what his true nature was. So he's obviously his name is Pudim Muralis or whatever, and he's some kind of thorny monster beast thing.
Yeah, he's not human.
Yeah, he's not a fairy either.
He's something else.
Yeah, he's something else, and he looks like what we saw him look like.
Yeah, he looks like what we saw him look like,
which was
in the theme song.
Right? Yeah.
Why do theme songs do that?
Well, here's
a major plot detail that you're going to want to watch in a couple episodes.
Well, I can understand why the OP for Mahoutsukai no Yome just has a bunch of footage from future episodes in it.
Because it's so expensive to animate.
Probably, yeah. Not a lot of other anime look like this, and I imagine that not many other anime have this much money. Time or painstaking effort put into their creation.
So it's a clip show with some music.
Yeah, that's what the OP is, and I'm totally fine with that. But yeah, his reveal of his actual form or whatever, it's like it appears in the OP. He looks like, his mask kind of grows like those curvy things on it.
Yeah, the goat horns.
He gets real hairy and thorny and whatever.
Just a lot taller.
Right. And the only reason he does that is because he's apparently like going into a rage or whatever after Chisei gets stabbed by the white-haired dude.
Grill. I think it's Grill.
I think it's a boy.
I think it's Grill.
It's anime, so hard to tell.
Yep.
We'll
Amorphous blobs.
I'm banking on boy. It's like a young guy.
Not young.
Well, super old, sure, but taking on the appearance of a young guy.
With a bunch of monster parts coming out of him.
It is kind of hard to tell like who's a man and who's a woman in this show. Because the blonde-haired apprentice of Scarface, I wasn't totally sure whether she was a man or a woman until this episode when she said that she loved
him.
Loved Scarface. And that doesn't even guarantee that she's a woman. But I think the episode goes on to establish her through the use of some like feminine pronoun or something.
And probably hair.
Well, sure, but yeah, guys can have long hair like that.
I know they can, but hers is like fluffy and looks like she works on it.
Okay.
Guys
can pay attention to their hair too. I mean, what I'm saying is I don't think that anime characters having hair like that is proof positive that they're, boy or girl.
Otherwise, Goku would be a girl.
Well, Goku has ridiculous spiky shonen hair, so he's obviously a boy.
I don't know.
Yeah, this episode, I mean, a lot of cool stuff is going on. Like there are elements of horror, there are elements of, minor elements of romance, I guess. There's interesting backstories behind a bunch of the characters, but it's not really a complete package for me. I'm not really getting like struck in the heart like I was in episode 3.
Not like Chise.
Right. Yeah, she does seem to be like really taken with Elias at this point.
No, I mean struck in the heart like she got stabbed through the heart.
Well played. Yeah, I that went over my head there. That joke. Phew. Oh yeah, so I did look up what Pudim Muralis means, and I think the subs were wrong. They said like Pudim Murialis with an extra I in there somewhere, but that's not. It was spelled incorrectly. So I looked it up. I Googled, and how do I get my mouse over here? Okay. I found this little blog about, I don't know what it's about. Anyway, it means wall spear, and it's the name for an odd squared timber that was pointed at both ends that Roman soldiers carried, and they could use them, they could plant them in the ground because they were spiked on both ends. And if a whole bunch of them did that, they could create a wall or like a palisade or whatever.
Right.
So it was like a mobile.
It's a wall that's difficult to get over because it's spiky.
Right. So that's the idea, is that he's the thorn mage, right? So he's spiky.
He's the spiked wall mage.
And so he's the wall spear mage, I guess. But I was kind of speculating that like they're half buried in the ground, right? And then they're half sticking up. So I was kind of thinking that maybe he's like half earth spirit and half not, I don't
Demon.
know. Yeah, or whatever. Just because he's like, half of him is planted in the ground, half of him is like tethered to the earth in kind of a metaphorical sense.
Yeah, because he can.
And the other half is more free and more like wanting to be human or something.
He can do some weird stuff. Like he can come out of the shadows.
Yes, he often like takes.
He turns into a shadow.
Yeah, he becomes Chise's shadow or like inhabits it or whatever.
Right.
It's kind of creepy. Dude, if I were a woman and some guy was spending time in my shadow, I would not be like falling for him at all. I'd be like, you need to stay as far away from me as possible, and I need to get whatever equivalent there is of a restraining order against the magician. That's even possible.
Don't know if those work.
Yeah.
If he can turn into shadows and giant beasts.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't. He's not a guy whose bad side you want to get on,
Apparently
or who
not.
you want to meet. Period.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
Anything else to say about these episodes? Or this episode?
Yeah, it was just one. Not really. I mean, as we covered the last stuff, and we know that obviously this character who shows up at the end, Chimera Lady, who was also
right. They want to make a chimera,
who was also responsible for
the cat.
The amalgamation in the middle of the lake.
We're really using the word amalgam and amalgamation a lot.
That's almost entirely me. I like that word.
It's a good word.
It makes you sound smart.
It does.
Smarter than I am.
Although I don't think you use it correctly just now.
No, I don't think so either.
That's fine though.
No. I think it's obvious that that's going to be the big bad.
Oh, I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah, I think the white-haired sorcerer is about to be dealt with. Because that's the kind of story that they've been telling. Like, well, I mean, no, you know what? I'm changing my mind right now. I think you're probably right. That the white-haired sorcerer is not like he or she is not going to die or be defeated right now. So they'll probably come back because I mean, God knows that Scarface has been showing up in every single episode since his introduction.
Right. He lost an arm to her and now has to help her build him, whatever.
Yeah.
Another chimera, or maybe add to her, possibly.
Maybe she's a chimera?
I think so. Because she's got I don't know if there are monsters behind her, or if she is those things that are coming out of the back of her when you see her.
Oh, I don't even remember that.
You don't? That was a huge detail. She's got like limbs from a bunch of monsters coming out. All behind her. That could just be a monster standing behind her that she's controlling. Or my other theory is that she wants the dog because the dog shifts back and forth. Maybe she wants like another one of its abilities.
Maybe.
For herself.
All right. Yeah, I completely missed that, so I'm a bad viewer because that's a huge plot point or detail or whatever.
We'll take a look at it after the podcast.
Okay. Yeah, we got to move on, trying to keep this...
Move on to the one that's going to take the longest to talk about.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to truncate Ava a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop the timer here.
So it doesn't beep on us.
Right.
Move on to Evangelion.
Yeah, episodes 9 and 10.
Or as we can call it this time, Dance Dance Revolution.
So these are the Asuka episodes. They're big on Asuka. So she's a brat.
Yeah, she's a spoiled German brat.
And like I found it really interesting. It's interesting to me in general how Ava like deals with school life or whatever. Like you see all the boys are stuffing love notes into her locker. Like when she opens it up, they all fall out.
And there's two kids, and there's
they're taking pictures of her.
They're taking pictures of her and the other girls in the locker room and stuff like that, and selling them for 30 yen.
Yeah,
which is like a couple quarters, or which is like less than a quarter.
Well, who knows what the exchange rate was like in 1995 when this was first airing?
Maybe we could find out afterwards.
We could, but I don't really care to find out.
We'll report back. Anyways.
We're not going to report back. I'm not.
I might.
I just find it like Ava is such a heady. Well, it's going to get to the point where it's such a heady, like kind of philosophical, existential series. But it's also like very much an anime. You know, there's robot fights.
There's giant robots. There's
a whole bunch of like half nudity and like silly flirting or
full nudity, but you just don't draw everything.
Right. Like you remember the episode where Shinji's like, "What's that penguin?" and there's a beer can in the way of his thing.
Yeah.
And then she moves it away, and then there's a little thing of toothpicks.
Yes.
It's just Ava is like it's an anime, you know. It's not ashamed of that or whatever. It's okay with being goofy, and then switching right back to being like intensely about like depression or father issues or mother issues, like we see in episode 9 when in that scene where Asuka gets into bed next to Shinji and he's like thinking about kissing her,
right,
and then
she cries for her mother in her sleep,
right,
and he's like, "I'm gonna go sleep over here."
Yeah. And I love that it cut straight to him like on the other side of the room. You don't see him getting up or anything. Like it's his repulsion is so like strong that you have to cut immediately to him far away. Or his shame, I guess.
Yeah.
It's
shame.
Game of Thrones again. Man, there's so much to talk about in every episode of Ava because there's like the political stuff that's going on, there's the action stuff, there's the character relationships, there's the whole thing with Seal, like the human instrumentality project that's going on. There's Misato and her love life.
It's just so dense.
Yeah,
every line of dialogue has something going on. Rather than I hate sand.
So what was episode 9 about? That was the one both of you dance like you want to win.
Right.
Which to me is one of the coolest episode titles there is. I love it so much.
Dance like you want to win.
Right. Have you noticed that every episode has 2 titles?
Yeah, it shows one at the start and then one at the halfway point.
Right. So the plan is to sink Ava units 1 and 2 so they can beat the angel that
splits in half.
Yeah, the angel splits in half, and you have to penetrate both of its cores simultaneously to beat it. So they like Shinji and Asuka live together. That's like when you think about it, the whole episode, it's a big pretense for them to move in together to both live with Misato because they have an angel that splits into 2 and they need perfect coordination, so they hatch a plan where they both live together. You know, it's kind of clumsy and I
just thought it was really interesting when they were like initially doing the training, like they've been gone for 3 days or something and they still haven't gotten it because it's like, why are you at this door? Why are you at this door? And they both ring the doorbell and then they show up and they're like in 80s dance outfits.
Yes, and the spandex with the like loose tops over top of it.
Yeah. With like the music notes and stuff on it, which is just super 80s.
Yeah.
And it's like, Ray, you give it a try. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, she syncs immediately with Shinji, while Asuka has a really hard time with it. And then she's like she's embarrassed by that, so she leaves.
She's like, and she tries to slam the door and it like slides back open.
Yeah.
Half my stuff won't fit in here. What are you doing in here?
Yeah, it's a funny episode for sure. I think episode 9 is actually one of my favorites. Just because of how anime it is. Like a lot of times when I say, "Oh, anime,"
we've reached peak anime.
Ava was peak anime and kind of is, honestly. Not just because I'm not just saying that because it's like so great or so significant, but because it was like huge. A lot of people watched it, and it's it's about like hormonal teenagers piloting robots, but at the same time, it's really like experimental and out there and takes advantage of animation as a medium. Although I will say this episode, from here on, the animation quality and the art, they're not as good. Did you pick up on that at all, or?
I can't confidently say yes because I hadn't noticed anything, and you asking me that question might change my mind.
Right, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Rewatching this show, I definitely noticed a dip, and a lot of scenes that are being reused, just small ones, like all the missiles firing in that really awesome, like beautiful 62-second choreographed scene where they defeat the angel. Like you can see the timer and it's in real time and all that. It's so cool. But a lot of the shots of like missiles firing and stuff, they're from previous episodes.
Well, that's Gainax for you.
Well, it's just anime.
Blow your entire budget in the first couple episodes and then coast on the rest.
Yeah, that is pretty Gainaxy, I guess.
With Gurren Lagann, it was night and day between like episodes 3 and 4. It was like, okay, did they switch animation houses?
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
It was jarring.
Well, that just goes back to what we were saying about you have to allocate resources differently for different episodes.
Right. And if you can get them hooked with the first 3, spend all your money.
Yeah. So they pull it off. They pull off the plan, and it's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
And at the very end, I had completely forgotten this detail. It took me completely by surprise. She calls him on the little phone. That's right when you like come out of the entry plug or whatever. There's a phone there. So he.
Hello, and they start yelling at each other because they collapsed on top of each other.
Right, they start arguing, and then her hologram punches him in the head, which breaks all laws of physics. So there's even like an element of absurdism in the show, in this episode. So it's super like crazy and wacky, but it's also like I was really charmed by this episode. I always am. Like all 3 times that I've seen it, I really love it. Although it is, it's goofy. It's goofy in a way that Ava is not always silly.
Right.
What else happened in this episode? Blah, 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 blah. Yes. So, do you think Asuka was sleepwalking?
No.
In the middle of the night when she got into bed with Shinji?
No.
Okay. I think I agree that she was not. But the prevailing theory is that she is. In one of the Evangelion rebuild movies, which is like an alternate continuity,
right?
She's awake when she goes in. But she does kind of appear to be sleepwalking. Like when you first see her emerge into the hallway, Shinji doesn't see her because he's turned away. But when you see her, her eyes are kind of like droopy, and she's like, she goes into the bathroom. But it was ambiguous. Because after she goes into the bathroom, the camera stays fixed on Shinji's face until she settles next to him. So you don't know, like, you don't know if she's asleep or not.
My guess is that she wouldn't be.
Well, she also says at the end, remember, I was asleep. I didn't even realize that you tried to kiss me, but you actually did. That's so terrible.
Right.
Do you think she's lying? And that she was awake?
She said you were awake the whole time. She said, no, I wasn't, but you just confirmed that you did. You actually did. That's gross.
So do you think that she was lying about being asleep? She must have been asleep, right? Because she said mama like that. So she was obviously dreaming about her mother.
Right.
So maybe she had fallen asleep at that point.
I think so.
But you think she was awake when she got into bed with Shinji.
Yeah.
But then she would have fallen asleep in like 30 seconds after getting in bed with a guy as like a 14-year-old girl. Your heart would be racing like a mile a minute if you were doing this as a teenager or as a human being.
But that might not have been her thought. Her thought process wouldn't have been that. Her thought process wouldn't have been like, oh my gosh, I'm about to do this. She would have been like, I'm more used to this. Sleep.
No, I don't buy that. You know what? She was sleepwalking.
She was sleepwalking.
Yeah. I do.
And she had been programmed by the Japanese to sleep with Shinji.
Well, why do you think she would do that if she were awake?
Didn't want to sleep alone.
Okay. Yeah. That kind of brings us into episode 10 a little bit, where they can't go on the school trip or whatever.
Right.
How long is it? Oh, we're at a minute. We're at a minute and 20. Okay. They can't go on the school trip. We're gonna get it in under a minute and 30. No, we won't.
You keep saying a minute. Hour.
Okay, an hour. I'm sorry. I'm just too preoccupied with all the stuff I want to say about Ava.
They can't go to the school field trip because they have to be on standby. Shinji is just like, yeah, that it was going to be that way, didn't you know? And she's really upset. She's like, I wanted to go.
Right. So because they can't go on the trip, she busts out this new swimsuit that she's bought.
Right.
Like at the NERV facility, I guess, at the pool where he's doing his homework.
Yeah.
And she's like very flirty with him.
Yeah.
She's talking about, they're talking about thermal expansion. It's like
I wonder if my boobs got warmer, if they'd get bigger. He's like, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, and then he refuses to kind of, give as good as...
a good reaction as she wants.
Yeah, I was trying to use some like colloquialism. I messed up in the middle. But yeah, he's not like flirting back, he's not participating. So she's like, you're boring, and she goes away. So then he turns and he looks at Rei, who's over here doing her own thing, not caring. She's just being Rei.
She's just swimming.
And then Asuka's like, Shinji, look at me. And then she does that little backwards flop into the pool or whatever. And then later, when she is in the Ava and she's like, Shinji, look at me, when she's getting lowered into the magma. So she's looking for his approval
or his attention.
Yeah, exactly. So that is something that she really needs or craves, I guess, is like validation or attention. So maybe she didn't want to sleep alone because she needs like human contact or whatever. She's obviously lonely. Like her mom is, we don't know what's up with her mom
Or her dad.
Right. But her mom is someone who's on her mind, I guess. And it's whatever dream she's having about her mother is causing her to cry. So she probably
Don't cry, best girl.
No, she's not best girl. I'm not going to engage in who's the best girl in Evangelion. It's a pointless debate.
Because it's Pyramid-san.
It's Ramiel. Ramiel, whatever. I don't know how you pronounce it.
Is that the name of the angel?
Yeah, the 5th, 6th angel, whichever one, the blue...
the pyramid.
Yeah.
And double pyramid. With one up, one down.
Yeah, isn't it just a cube?
No. Well, a cube on its side is two pyramids together.
Right. Is the fact that the screen just went off going to mess with Audacity at all?
No.
Okay. Yeah, it's still recording. No, the reason I'm not going to talk about who's the best girl or whatever is because it's a stupid debate, and Evangelion is more like... This isn't Children of the Whales we're talking about here. This is a show with some real substance and some... It's like a good show, to me. Not everybody has to think the same way. But I don't even remember what I was talking about.
We were talking about how Asuka seems like she has maybe abandonment issues.
Yeah, something like that. Well, that's the point that I was going to make.
She craves attention.
She's got something going on with her the same way that most of the other characters in this show.
Everything's got something wrong with them.
Yeah,
except Shinji.
Everyone's a little...
Shinji is perfectly normal. How dare you disgrace Shinji?
Okay. Sure, dude. What else we got in here?
And then we've got angels in a chrysalis form.
Right, yeah. They talk about it as a chrysalis, but when you see it, it looks like a human embryo.
Yeah.
In the little oval with the embryo looking thing.
Right, and my guess is that they're related.
Yeah, well, we even got that line of dialogue from Ritsuko a few episodes ago about how there's like a 99% match or something.
99.98%, yeah.
Yeah. So they are closely related. Yeah. And this is just more evidence of that. And there was also a ton of talk about the second impact.
And the fact that it wasn't an angel that caused it. It was, they did, what was it, like a Directive 37 or something like that?
A17.
A17. Yeah, that's what it, I don't know why I got 37.
Yeah,
Thanks, Diablo 3.
It doesn't matter what title it is.
And that's what caused, because there was a mission probably at the polar ice caps, and they had to nuke it like from orbit and just destroy everything, and that caused it to collapse and kill half the population.
No, I think that the reason that people were concerned about this mission with the magma diving potentially being another second impact was because the second impact was caused by contact with an angel.
An angel embryo?
Or just an angel. I don't know. But
there have been contact with angels that are not embryonic.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I'm thinking like just when an angel's in like a dormant state.
I think people were worried about it because of the directive they had to use, A17 or something. I think they had used that previously.
Well, that just means like, I think that's just code for an offensive against an angel.
No, because they remember how there were like bombers and stuff scrambled, and if they failed the mission, they were going to get nuked and kill all of them.
Oh, you think that's what an A17 is?
I think that happened on the polar ice cap, and it melted the whole thing and killed half the world.
Okay. Well, we are, I don't want to get into that too much. It was really a show best experienced unspoiled, but I will tell you that we're going to learn more about the second impact soon, like real soon, in the the chronology of the show or whatever.
Okay.
So yeah, angels are very closely related to humans, although once they get out of their embryo state, they're spooky monsters.
Right, and they grow pretty quickly.
Yeah, really fast, dude.
Instant. It's an embryo. It's a full-sized angel.
And the way that Asuka defeated it was pretty cool, using like the cooling.
Did you know that exact same scene happens in Pacific Rim?
Oh, really?
They vent the coolant on the side of what they're attacking in order to snap like the arm off of one of the kaiju that they're fighting.
So that was ripped directly from Evangelion?
Absolutely it was.
Nice.
It was cool though.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Eva has stolen its fair share of stuff from like Gundam and Ideon, or I don't know how you say it, but
I don't think stolen. I think iterated is a better way to say.
Yeah, or just like borrowed, or doing it as an homage.
You used my idea as a springboard.
You stole my springboard. There was also, speaking of A17, that was a point of discussion between Kaji and the woman holding the dog in the cable car. Do you remember this at all? It was a very short scene.
Vaguely.
There's a woman holding a dog talking with Kaji in a cable car that's flying overhead of like the mountain or whatever where they're doing this magma diving thing. Mm-hmm. And she's like, why didn't you stop them from doing this? And he said, there wasn't an excuse for me to stop. Like
there wasn't an excuse I could give that would seem reasonable.
Right. So who do you think this woman was holding the dog? And why did she want Kaji to interfere with NERV's plans?
Maybe the mom?
I think the woman is his mother?
Shinji's mom.
Shinji's mom.
So his wife.
Do we know anything about Shinji's mom?
No.
Well,
not that I remember.
We know that she's not around, right? Because he would have, I assume, continued living with her after Gendo, hit the road or whatever. But he didn't. He says he went to stay with his teacher or something.
Right.
So his mom's not in the picture.
It's not for a reason that we know. We don't know why she's not in the picture.
Okay.
It's possible that both his father and her.
Wait. Okay, never mind.
What?
I'm just remember I've already seen the whole show, so I'm trying to keep track of what we know at this point and what we don't.
Right.
So I don't want to say anything about his mom.
Right. That's a guess.
Okay.
That or it's somebody related to someone who's on the ground and would end up dying because of because of A17.
Okay, so you think that her motive in being like, why didn't you try to stop her from doing this, is like, why weren't you protecting my, son, daughter, relative, friend, whatever?
Yeah.
Okay. We saw Seal again. It was Ritsuko is like, we found the angel in the thing in the magma, so get Gendo to ask Seal for an A17. That was the whole big deal about the A17, was he had to ask them permission for it,
right?
Or whatever. And they're like, you wanna attack an angel? Are you nuts? Do you remember what happened last time?
Remember what happened? Half the population died.
Yeah, but
don't worry, it's not gonna happen this time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and they kind of just they're giving him free reign, and it seems to me that's because
it's been working.
Yeah, it's been working, and Gendo is probably like, if this massive like conspiracy kind of major corporation or whatever secret organization Seal is, if they're giving Gendo this much power and this much autonomy, it's probably because he's the only one who's capable of delivering on the human instrumentality project. Whatever their goal is, he's like the only man on Earth who can make it happen. So that's why he kind of has a card that he can play. Like, you need to go along with what I say if you want your big vision to
come to fruition.
Exactly. All right, there's way more that we could talk about. Misato and Kaji, that scene on the elevator.
Right.
They were lovers at one point, and he's trying to get back in there.
Trying to get with that.
Yeah. We could go into all that, but there'll be more opportunities to talk about Misato's love life and her relationships with other characters. So we'll just put a pin in that for now, and we'll do our ratings. How about that?
We'll do some rankin' ankin'.
I think you know what my last place is.
Let me guess, your number 6. It might rhyme with mine. Whales.
Oh, is yours Whales as well?
Yes, it is.
Nice. I'm proud of you for ranking that last. 5th.
Tour.
Really? Okay, that's way different from mine. I put Hellsing.
Okay.
I mean, episode looked great. It was full of action. Just
That's not what you watch anime for anymore.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't watch a lot of actiony stuff.
I'm completely the opposite.
Not my favorite.
That's all I do.
Yeah. I was considering putting Hellsing above Yome this week, because I put Yome. What'd you put 5th? Sorry.
4th.
What'd you put 5th?
What I put 5th was Girls Last Tour.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I put Yome 4th, and I was thinking about switching those two.
I put Yome 4th.
Okay. Dandy 3rd.
Dandy 3rd.
Last Tour 2nd.
Hellsing.
Okay. So did we have the exact same rankings, but Last Tour and Hellsing were flipped?
Yep.
And Ava first?
Ava first,
Dude,
yeah.
I'm so glad you're enjoying Ava. It's awesome.
Yeah, man. I really like it.
And you mentioned to me the other day that you like it so much, or I guess you like it enough, that you'd be willing to watch more episodes of it.
Yeah.
So what do you think about watching more episodes of it per...
If we're going to do that, we need to block out more than just 10 minutes for it, because there's so much to talk about in every episode.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just so dense.
Yeah.
We're going to use that joke way too many times.
Well, let's just make this episode the one where we quote the Star Wars guy. And
the episode title could be "It's Just So Dense."
No, dude. Mo Blobs, Mo Problems is so good. That's like a 10 out of 10 episode title. That like big anime podcasts that attract hundreds of thousands of listeners would kill to have. But it's ours now, bitches.
I'm the master. Sorry, Yuke. It's hard to do while doing this fake Brooklyn accent.
Okay, so we really like Evangelion. That's what we learned today.
Yep.
And I'm way sweeter on Girls Last Tour than you are.
Well, there's more explosions in Hellsing.
Yeah, there were. I actually wrote that down in my notes. Just explosions.
Yeah,
there were a lot.
I really enjoyed. I was gripped watching the whole episode.
Nice. That's really good to hear, especially since you weren't so much in love with the last one.
Yeah.
So we'll figure out how many episodes of everything we want to watch and whatever in the interim between this episode and the next.
And we'll report back in a week with our progress.
Yeah. On the next episode of
Average nerds.
Inspect.
Mass.
Entertainment.
See you later.